Hey guys, Zach here, and welcome back to another action figure review, and today we'll be taking a look at the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom Roarivore Ceratosaurus. Now, this figure actually doesn't come from the Legacy Collection, this figure actually comes from the regular Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toy line. And the reason why I'm including it here is because, to me, it just feels like it fits in well with this line, because this is a Ceratosaurus, but this is clearly based off of the Ceratosaurus from Jurassic Park 3. Not just in terms of the paint, but in terms of the sculpt as well, because there are some very similar things to the Ceratosaurus from that movie. And if you've seen my last video, then you would know that I said that there are two things that I liked about Jurassic Park 3. I hated that movie, but the only two things I liked were the Pteranodon scenes, those were good, or just the one specific scene I should say, and the Ceratosaurus cameo. Granted, it was just included in there for a poop joke, but I feel like that, the design of the Ceratosaurus in that movie was really good, and is honestly a dinosaur I would love to see again. Probably not, but I could be wrong about that. Maybe for Jurassic World 3, there are only two things that I'm hoping for. I'm hoping for a Ceratosaurus in this style, and I'm hoping for a chameleon-like Carnotaurus like in Michael Crichton's second novel. That's just me, but yeah. Anyway, this figure was revealed at Toy Fair, or not really physically, but it was like images of it were revealed by Entertainment Earth, and I was really excited for this. I was very excited to get this figure, and this was probably my most anticipated figure from the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom toy line. There are a lot of figures that I was excited for, but I feel like this one in particular was the most exciting for me. And after getting it late July, a little disappointing. Not awful. This is still a very nice figure, but there are definitely some problems with this figure that are not so good at all. Some are very small, but then there are others that it keeps this figure from being great, let's just say. So, yeah. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's take a quick look at the painting on this figure. And the painting on this figure is very accurate to how it looked in Jurassic Park 3. I feel like it could have used a little more orange, but let's take a closer look. So as you can see, most of the body is this bright yellowish color, almost a tannish color, which does look very accurate to Jurassic Park 3, as well as the black stripes and patterns going down the body, which does look very nice. And of course we have the traditional red face like from Jurassic Park 3, but that continues all the way through the back of the figure, all the way to the tail here, which is honestly very nice. The eyes are painted orange with black pupils, and the teeth and horns are just the one horn, but the horn and teeth are painted a bonish white color, which does look very nice. Unfortunately, on the osteoderms right here, they didn't really paint it all the way, because as you can see on this side, they painted it pretty nicely, but on this side, they just forgot to paint it. So, yeah. Very unfortunate, but to be completely honest, there are other versions of this where the osteoderms on the back here are actually painted, so it all depends on, your luck. You might get a flawless figure, but then you might get a figure where it's missing a pupil, or it doesn't come with a tail, or anything like that, so yeah. But, yeah, of course we have the new Jurassic World logo underneath the foot right here, and we have the scan code, so if you want to scan that in, there you go. And that is pretty much it for the painting on this figure. And the painting on this figure, there are some minor things I don't like. As I mentioned before, the osteoderms on the back here aren't really painted all the way. That, and it would have been nice if the toenails and fingernails were painted, but all things considering, the painting on this figure is still very nice. So the painting here gets a pass. Now take a look at the articulation, and the articulation on this figure is good. It's what you'd expect from a dinosaur figure from the Jurassic World toy line, but it's still good. So the arms can move 360, and they can open upwards like so. The legs can move 360 as well, and the tail can move 360 as well, but I wouldn't recommend doing this, because if you listen, yeah, this figure likes to squeak, and that is honestly a very poor decision. Very bad quality control here. It would have been nice if they actually did something to, fix this. Yeah, no, that is not good. And I know for a fact that no kid is going to want that on their dinosaur figure, so, yeah. But anyway, this line from the Jurassic World toy line is called the Roarivores line, which means that this figure, well, of course, roars. And basically, you have a button right here, and that causes the mouth to open. And before I take a look at the sounds, I just want to say, usually in the Roarivore line, if it's a theropod, the mouth is always open, but you push the button to close the mouth, which is honestly not my cup of tea. I like it, here where the mouth is always closed, but you push the button and the mouth opens. That is very nice, and I feel like that should be on every other Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom figure, but unfortunately, a lot of them have that open mouth syndrome, so yeah. But anyway, we get 4 select sounds, and if we push this button here, here's the first one. These might sound familiar to you, by the way. We have a chomping sound right there. A very nice sounding sound that I actually really like. It doesn't sound like the Ceratosaurus from Jurassic Park 3. Granted, we didn't hear it roar at all, but if they used the roars from Jurassic World Evolution, then I feel like that would work a lot better. But we are going to see some other roars that are very familiar. That wasn't a Ceratosaurus, that was just a T-Rex. And many other Roarivores suffer from this problem as well. The Baryonyx makes T-Rex sounds. The Allosaurus makes T-Rex sounds. I don't get why they do that, but yeah. And of course, here's another sound. These sounds don't really play in order, so I'm gonna have to play through some of them. Nope. Nope. The first half was a T-Rex sound, but that second half actually sounded pretty cool, so yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the Roarivores effect, and that's pretty much it for the articulation. Not really in terms of the articulation, but I feel like they should have done different roars. If they use sounds from Jurassic World Evolution, because the Ceratosaurus is actually in that game, so if they just use sounds from that, then I feel like it would be pretty nice, or come up with your own, or do something. Don't just give us a T-Rex, but yeah. We do get some original sounds which actually do sound very nice, but yeah. And the articulation on this figure, not bad. The tail's a problem, but other than the tail, I'd say that the articulation here is still nice. So the articulation here gets a pass and a half. I would give it a full pass, but again, that tail is a pretty big issue, so yeah. And now I'll take a look at the sculpting on this figure. And the sculpting on this figure is almost perfect. The sculpting here looks exactly like the Ceratosaurus from Jurassic Park 3. It looks incredible. There's just one thing that ruins it for me. And unfortunately, a lot of theropods suffer from this. I'm of course talking about the aggressive stance syndrome. Whatever you want to call it. And at first glance, it's standing up nicely. There's no reason to complain, so yeah, it's standing up nicely. Well, when I did my unboxing video for this guy almost a year ago, actually, that's actually kind of crazy, I stopped recording and I took this thing out of the box and I messed around with it. It stood very well at the time and it looked good. I was very impressed with what I was seeing. Again, I wasn't really a big fan of this mess right here. That and it, I would have liked it if the toenails and fingernails were painted, but I was still very impressed with this thing. So I put it on my shelf and I leave to hang out with my friend for the weekend. I come back and this thing just fell over. So it's standing well now, but eventually it might fall over, so definitely keep that in mind. I feel like if the legs were positioned kind of like so, then I feel like, balancing wouldn't be too much of an issue. Because that actually looks pretty good, but unfortunately, of course, the legs are aggressively stanced, so yeah. I'm not saying it definitely will fall. It could stand, but I've heard many complaints about this thing not being able to stand, which is honestly probably one of my biggest complaints about this figure. Its inability to stand and the tail are two of the worst things. That and the paint apps right here are actually not great. But, yeah. But other than those things I talked about, the sculpting here still looks very nice, and it's very accurate to how it looked in Jurassic Park 3. In fact, I'd even say that the model was ripped completely from Jurassic Park 3. But, yeah. Either way, the sculpting on this figure, besides the legs, it's still very nice, so the sculpting on this figure gets a pass. Now take a look at the detailing, and the detailing on this figure, again, is great. So taking a look, we can see that all the scales in the face are very nicely defined and it looks very nice. And we do have some nice detailing on the tongue right there and on the roof of the mouth. Unfortunately, we do have kind of a screw hole, but it's kind of hard to see, so it's fine. But anyway, we have more creasing and osteoderms going throughout the body, very much like a Carnotaurus. And fun fact, I talked about this before, but the Ceratosaurus is actually in the same family as Carnotaurus. So, yeah, that's really cool. It's funny because the Carnotaurus is my favorite dinosaur of all time, and the Ceratosaurus is my second favorite dinosaur of all time. Not in Jurassic Park, of course. In Jurassic Park, you know, there's no going wrong with the T-Rex, but in anything else, I'd say Carnotaurus and Ceratosaurus are definitely up there for me. But yeah, we have some very nice creasing going on, and the osteoderms here look very nice. And some musculature are underneath the neck right here, which looks very nice. And going to the side of the body, we have more osteoderms and more scales and whatnot, which looks very nice, very well defined. And yeah, it looks very nice. The musculature on the arms look very nice as well, and even the hands are detailed very nicely as well. And again, this animal has 4 fingers, very much like Carnotaurus, so there's more evidence right there. But anyway, continuing through the body, we have more creasing, more osteoderms, which look nice. And going to the leg here, unfortunately we don't have a lot of osteoderms, but we do get more creases and wrinkles, and some very nice musculature, which looks very nice. And the feet look very nice as well. Going to the tail, we have some more osteoderms, which looks very nice. The sculpting here is very nice as well. Nice musculature, nice creasing, and that continues all the way through the tail. And that's pretty much it for the detailing on this figure. And the detailing on this figure, very good. The detailing definitely gets a pass. So, at the end of the day, should you get this figure? Honestly, I'd say buy it at your own risk. Yeah, there are some problems on this figure that are very problematic. You know, problems like its inability to stand, the tail being squeaky, and, you know, the osteoderms right here. I feel like, you know, this is still a nice figure, but unfortunately, you know, quality control with Mattel isn't the best, so do be careful. Or, you know, with the paint and the articulation and whatnot. The sculpting, well, you know, the legs are stuck like this, so it's not really quality control at that point, it's just poor design. But honestly, I still think that this is a nice figure. Yeah, there are some pretty big problems, but it's still nice. I've actually seen some figures where this side of the osteoderms, they are actually painted very nicely. I've seen some where the tail isn't squeaky. And of course, the balancing is still kind of an issue. Even though it's standing well right now, eventually it definitely will fall over. So if you're a collector and you want this displayed out of the box, then I'd say get something to, you know, kind of help it stand. You shouldn't have to do that by any means. This thing should be able to stand on its own, but yeah. But what I have is this Lego thing that I made a while ago. I actually made this for my Jurassic Park 3 baby dinosaur Spinosaurus, because that figure could not stand, so now I'm just using it for the Ceratosaurus. And basically, you just stick that right there, and this figure will not fall over. Again, you really shouldn't have to have stands or anything like that. And I know the problem with the squeaky tail could be fixed, but again, you shouldn't have to. And I know I could easily just paint over this, but, well, not really easily for me, because I can't paint to save my life, so yeah. So, there are some QC issues with this, but if you do get a figure where all the problems I stated are not there, besides the positioning of the legs, I'd say that this is still a very nice figure. In terms of pricing, you are going to have to pay about 14 bucks. Now, you can't find this specific version in stores anymore, unfortunately. However, this figure is actually available on Amazon for 14 bucks, which is honestly very nice. I feel like 14 is definitely the best price for the Roarivores line, so yeah. So, if you can find a figure that looks good and the quality controls, you know, aren't as bad, then I feel like then, you know, I'd say pick it up. But if you do get a figure that's actually worse than mine, then, well, I'm sorry. But this is still a nice figure. Get it at your own risk. You know, it's still nice, but the quality control issues are very apparent. But yeah. Anyway, if you want to know how big this figure is, here he is next to Dr. Billy Grant. Alright. Now, really quick, I just want to say the Ceratosaurus is actually in very nice scale with Dr. Billy Grant here, and it's honestly a shame that we've never gotten a Ceratosaurus figure from the Jurassic Park 3 toy line. We've gotten a Tapejara, and we've gotten a Dilophosaurus, and a lot of other dinosaurs that haven't appeared in the movie, but Ceratosaurus just nothing. Very unfortunate, but yeah, these two scale up very nicely, so yeah, that looks good. But anyway, that is it for today. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next video. Peace, Zach out.